Hey there guys, this is Sam
and Justin
at the Survival Review, and today we are going to be talking about Thor Ragnarok, the third movie of the Thor series, part of the, what is this, the 17th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? There's too many of them, but my god, we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
And this movie is very good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we both really enjoyed it. I think most people kind of agree that this movie is just plain solid.
Yeah.
I went into this movie kind of different than a lot of people. I've never seen Thor 1 or 2, and I don't really care about Thor even remotely. The main reason I went to see this movie, both because I was hearing good things, but is because I'm a big fan of the director. Taika Waititi created Flight of the Conchords, which is one of my favorite shows. He did What We Do in the Shadows, Boy, Eagle vs. Shark, a bunch of really, really great movies. And this is up there with a lot of his movies. I'd say I actually like some of his other movies more. Mm-hmm. I think he works really well with like smaller movies. Yeah. And I think his comedy works really well there. But it worked well here too, just a little differently.
Yeah, and when it comes to Thor, like the first Thor movie I think is fine. It's perfectly enjoyable. And then Thor the Dark World was pretty forgettable. It's a decent watch. It's a good way to kill 2 hours, but that's literally all it is. You'll forget about it by the next day. So yeah, going to this movie I was mostly looking forward to it because of what the trailers were showing me and the director, not because it's the new Thor adventure.
Yeah, I have almost zero interest in the character of Thor. He's always been one of the less interesting characters in the Avengers to me.
I like Thor, I just wish he had better movies.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on Thor because he was good in this. Yeah. The whole reason I saw this movie is because I thought it had a distinct style. At first, I was kind of worried it was going to be banking too much on trying to be the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. And at times it was that.
Yeah, there are moments like that.
But for the most part, I thought it was its own movie and had its own kind of style to it.
Yes. And speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought this movie kicked Guardians of the Galaxy 2's ass.
I would agree. I thought this movie was a lot better than Guardians 2. And I enjoyed Guardians 2.
That was okay.
More than him.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a bad movie.
I'd say Guardians 2 does a couple of the emotional beats better than this one.
Yeah, which is kind of a shame because, like, Taika Waititi can really have some great stuff like that. Like, some of his smaller movies, like Boy, really have a lot of heart to them. Yeah. And that's kind of missing from this movie. That's the one thing I'd say that's missing from his like general style from this. Which, you know, it has other things going for it though, so it's not bad. It's just a little. Would have been nice to have a little more emotion.
So talk about the positive for this movie. What everybody says, and this isn't anything new, but this movie is a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's very funny.
Yes.
I'll find myself in a lot of other Marvel movies in general. A lot of people in the theater are laughing, but I'm just kind of going like, eh.
Yeah, that was the most awkward thing about seeing Guardians 2.
There were a lot of things in Guardians 2 where the jokes were just falling flat, for me at least. And
for me him. Too, yeah.
And jokes that would just go on too long, things like that. And we talked about that in our review. But in this movie, there were some moments like that. I couldn't even name them off the top of my head. There were a couple moments where I was like, not sighing, but just like not laughing along with everybody else. It was just like, okay, I get it, but it's not that funny.
All the action scenes are great.
Yes.
And it has a smile on my face during all of those moments.
Oh, for sure. And all the parts that I did find funny were very funny.
Yeah, there's some great humor in this movie.
Taika Waititi has a really distinct, quirky kind of comedy that works really well with all the characters in this. Along with all the new characters, including probably the funniest character in the movie, is played by Taika Waititi and Korg.
It was just this big rock creature just hanging out in this arena area where, you know, Thor fights Hulk and everything.
And he, for some reason, has a New Zealand accent. There are several characters in this movie that have New Zealand accents just kind of because he's from New Zealand.
It's just best because his voice does not match that character's look at all.
And that's why it's so funny, is because you see this big, intimidating Hulk-like monster made of rocks. He's just like, hey man.
Yeah.
What's happening?
He's just so likable.
You rode a hammer.
No, I didn't ride the hammer.
The hammer rode you on your back.
No. Every time I threw it, it would always come back to me.
Sounds like you had a pretty special and intimate relationship with this hammer, and that losing it was almost comparable to losing a loved one.
He's got this weird, like, silent sidekick dude.
Yeah.
And it just, most times when he was on screen, I had a smile on my face or I was laughing. And
Doug took on the champion. No, hey, Doug, right? Oh, wait, he's dead.
Doug's dead, yeah.
Your new Doug.
There were a lot of really good moments like that.
One of the great things about this movie is the Hulk in here. Now, I'm a huge Hulk fan. He's actually my favorite Marvel character. You get a lot more of him as a character, because this is the first movie where he actually speaks and everything. And yeah, Hulk basically acts like a child every time, and it's funny, but it's just really cool to see this different side of Hulk, whereas in all the previous movies, he's just been, Banner turns into Hulk, Hulk destroys stuff, we move on.
Yeah, you kind of get more of what Hulk, not just Bruce Banner, is like, which is really cool.
I loved all that.
I think it's a shame that they haven't really expanded on that prior to this. It was cool that all that was there. And the stuff with Bruce Banner, even though there's not a ton of it, is pretty good. I enjoyed all that.
Yeah, unfortunately there is a bit more of Bruce Banner than Hulk, I feel, in this movie. But I loved all the stuff where we actually had Hulk as a character and actually has a personality and everything. It was just so great. Probably the other best character, aside from Korg, is Jeff Goldblum as the Grandmaster.
Man, every time he's on screen, he doesn't even have to say anything.
No.
Most of the time. Just the fact that he's Jeff Goldblum as this this ridiculous ruler of this planet. Half the time I felt like he was on screen. I'm watching like a Tim and Eric sketch or something. It's so ridiculous, so absurd. And
Time works real different around these parts. On any other world, I'd be like millions of years old. But here on Sakaar, in any case,
literally, if you give anybody else his lines, it'd be the most awkward, like, stupidest stuff in the entire movie. But give it to Jeff Goldblum and it becomes comedy gold.
Yeah, it worked perfectly. It couldn't have been cast better.
No.
It just all the stuff with him, like, this plane or ship doesn't have guns or anything. It's just what he uses for, orgies and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, of course that's what he uses it for.
Ooh, what's going on with your hands there? Do they, like, sparkle?
But Jeff Goldblum was fantastic.
Oh, he was amazing.
When I heard that there was a Thor movie with Jeff Goldblum in it and Planet Hulk stuff and all this, I was like, this is going to be gold. And Taika Waititi's directing it. Like, they managed to get me excited for a Thor movie. I never bothered to go see the other Thor movies in theaters or on DVD, and they managed to get me to go and see this opening night. Yeah. Just with that stuff.
And without directly referencing the era, this is the best 80s throwback movie ever.
Yeah. It never once, like, throws it in your face like somebody's playing Atari or solving a Rubik's Cube or any of that stuff.
This feels exactly like an 80s fantasy movie.
It does. It's really great. Some really good, like, synthy music.
Yes.
I loved all that with the score.
And just the set design and everything was just beautiful to look at.
This is the most Jack Kirby of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. Like, it's definitely that.
Yeah, and it's very different from any of the other Thor movies. It has just a much brighter, more vibrant look to it. And it's also not because they're trying to be different, but because they go to different places in this one. They go to that planet Sakaar that Jeff Goldblum is like the head of. And it has just this great look to it. Basically like a garbage planet.
Yeah.
And it's just wonderful to watch.
You got all these, like, wormholes dropping garbage on the planet, and then they also have an arena where they just have monsters fight.
Yeah, it would have been great. I know they had to add it for marketing, but it would have been great if we didn't know that Hulk was going to be in this movie.
Clearly they had to have that for marketing, but man, that would have been one of the greatest surprises in the movie, to have him drop in.
They build up, like, who's this mystery champion and everything.
And everybody knows because it was blatantly in the trailers, but... That's fine. It was still enjoyable when they had the reveal.
And some flaws with the movie is that the first act is a little clunky and a little rushed.
I would say more than a little. Even. Yeah. The pacing was just, boom, this is happening, boom, this is happening, boom. And it's hard to sort of keep up with everything. Yeah,
the first half felt like the studio's mandate for making a Thor sequel, where it's like, you have to, of course, address the cliffhanger from Thor 2. You have to have a cameo from another Marvel character in there. And it all just kind of felt like...
I totally forgot about that. He was... Doctor Strange is in the movie for like 5 seconds for like no reason.
I mean, the idea of it works. Like, they're trying to find Odin and, Loki banished him to New York, and of course the person that would help him out would be Doctor Strange. It works, but just the execution just felt it wasn't really quite there.
It was really like all the other stuff in that first act is just, now this is happening.
Yeah.
There's no transition into these things.
Yeah, I like the idea of it, but I just felt it wasn't handled as well as it could have.
Yeah.
But then once they get to Sakaar, that's when it felt like Studio's like, oh yeah, just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Because then the movie just picks up and it's just like, it's non-stop fun until the end. And even though it's a very simple plot, and you know where it's going, where it's like, oh, we have to get back to Asgard to fight the bad guy, I didn't exactly know like how it was going to get there.
Yeah.
Despite knowing like of course where it has to go, I didn't really know how it was going to go that way, and it was actually very good change of pace from other Marvel movies.
Which was cool.
And also for the pacing being really fast, it doesn't really have time to like linger on important moments. It does have good scenes. There is some really good dramatic scenes where the movie just stops and is able to let scenes play out, which is why I like this better than Guardians 2, because Guardians 2, aside from like the end, never really has that. That happens a lot in here, but there's still like scenes that let stuff play out. Like, there's a great elevator scene between Loki and Thor, where you actually get a good idea of the characters, and I thought that scene was one of the best scenes in the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But there is some dramatic stuff that you don't really get to let play out, and not really feel the dramaticness of it.
Yes.
Especially if you're a fan of like the characters in the first two Thor movies, not the human ones, because of course they're not in here for good reasons.
Nobody gives a shit about Natalie Portman. Come on.
No, and they address that in like one quick scene, and that's it.
Like, oh, we broke up. Oh, okay. Bye.
Yeah. But if you like some of the supporting characters, you won't like at all what they do with them in this movie. Because it happens, what they do is just so quick, and it's just like, okay.
Well, that's what's really funny is I've never seen the first two movies. I would have just guessed those were extras or like background actors.
Yeah.
I never would have in a million years guessed, oh, they're in the first two movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Another positive I would say are some of the performances. Obviously, Chris Hemsworth, he's good.
Yeah, there's a few moments where he kind of like acts like the Thor in those like Team Thor videos. I felt like they're kind of like being a parody of Thor.
Yeah.
And there's a couple moments like that in here that's like, nah, scale that back. That's not quite Thor.
And there were a few moments where with him and some other people where it felt like they were improvising or somebody said a joke and they just left it in. That stuff usually to me kind of takes me out of it because I can almost always tell you left that in. That was a joke. That wasn't in the script or whatever. And it's just like, okay, that's fine. I'm not here to watch a Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah.
But
Hemsworth has great comedic timing, so he makes a lot of those jokes work.
Yeah.
Even if they are not the best jokes out there, his timing just makes them work.
And another great performance would be the villain. Cate Blanchett plays Hela, the goddess of death. And she is, for the time that she's in the movie, really, really funny.
Oh, yeah.
She a lot of people give Marvel shit for having, like, uninteresting villains.
Well, for good reason.
Yeah, for good reason. But she was chomping the scenery, and she was having fun with it.
I'm kind of mixed on my opinion on her, because as a performance, she was great, and definitely like a very memorable character. But for the second act of the movie, she really doesn't do anything. Yeah,
that's the thing that kind of sucks, is the second half of the movie, she's just there. She's there hanging out in Asgard. Yeah. Nothing really much going on there, which... When she's being a villain and being that intimidating, over-the-top villain, it's good.
Oh, yeah. And then you even have Carl Urban in there as a character. It's like, why not? I love Carl Urban. So.
And he's fun for the time that he's in the movie. He's like this coward who's only following her so he doesn't get killed, basically.
I still love the shot when Hela first comes into the portal, comes into Asgard. He's just in the background sweeping the floor.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm just a janitor.
I love it. He's just randomly there just sweeping. I don't know why. I thought that was great.
One of the scenes where he pulls out his two guns and he starts firing, and the guns just never run out of ammo. He shoots like 100 bullets and never has to reload, and it's just one of these over-the-top ridiculous moments. Stuff like that I really like. They just had fun with it.
Oh yeah. So instead of doing two separate videos, we're just going to discuss spoilers for the last half of this review.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I would suggest not watching this bit and go and check it out.
Yeah, and then come back and finish the rest of the video.
Yes.
So as for spoilers, this movie actually has a lot of consequences in it, surprisingly.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised.
Like, I remember a while ago, Kevin Feige said this was going to be the Winter Soldier of Phase 3. And it's not, like, kind of quite like that because there's no repercussions for Earth or for, like, S.H.I.E.L.D. or for a lot of the Marvel heroes. But when it comes to Thor himself, there's a crap ton of repercussions for him in this movie.
Oh, for sure.
Asgard gets destroyed.
Yes. Asgard is gone.
And completely annihilated. I wasn't expecting that.
No. I thought they were going to find some way to save it.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And they do, because they claim, Asgard is a people, not a place. And they save all the people of Asgard, or at least most of them. I'm sure they killed, like, a lot of people.
I mean, a lot of them probably died. I'm really hoping Matt Damon didn't, though.
Yeah, that's another thing. weird out of nowhere Matt Damon
Yeah.
scene. Like that was almost like a what moment for me.
That was
But
great.
it's like, why not? You know.
Matt Damon as Loki, and then you also have Sam Neill as Odin.
Yes, which was I was just like, oh, that's great. That's a sort of another thing from another Taika Waititi movie. He was in Hunt for the Wilder People, which was another fantastic movie that people should check out. It's cool to see him bringing those people back for
and then the actor playing Thor was Luke Hemsworth, Chris's older brother. So that was just a great scene. I like that scene.
I loved it.
I love all the stuff with Odin playing like Loki, with Anthony Hopkins basically playing Loki.
Yeah.
Like, that was wonderful. When Thor pops in, he goes, oh shit.
Yeah. That stuff was all really great.
Yeah, and of course, Odin dies. I saw that coming mostly because he wasn't in any of the trailers for the movie.
It's pretty predictable.
He never appeared in like any of the trailers for this movie. And so he dies, but not in the way I expected to. He actually just dies because he's old, I guess.
Yeah, he's just getting old and turned to dust.
Yeah, and I know originally all this stuff with Odin and like the fields in like Norway where it was like reshoots. Originally, they found him as like a hobo in New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which looks like it would have been fun, but I kind of like the more serious way they took it with Odin.
Yes.
And I like that it actually led to a good scene just with Odin, Loki, and Thor just sitting there talking to each other. And it's like, I like that scene.
I would agree. I think that it's good that they took the time to have like a little more emotion to it rather than make it, farcical comedy stuff.
You make Odin the comedic character when like Loki is playing him, but when he's actually Odin, keep him that like serious, stern Odin. I think that works better for the character.
I agree.
And of course, major repercussions. Thor loses his friggin' eye.
Yes, which is another kind of negative thing as far as pacing goes, because it just happens.
Yeah, like when it first happens, I was like, holy shit, he lost his eye. But then it cuts away and continues the action scene 2 seconds later, and I'm like,
it's
wait,
like,
did he?
Wait, what happened? It's just so quick. It's like you gotta kind of let that linger a little bit for the audience. Let them let people kind of get a grasp of what just happened, and it's just like boom, on to the next thing.
Yeah, I was saying the scene in Thor 2 where they like pretend to cut off Thor's hand had more dramatic weight to it than this scene did.
Yeah.
But I like that they did that, and I like that they kept it like a secret. Like there's shots in the trailers where you see Thor post losing his eye, but he has his eye.
Yeah.
Or even there's like a leaked trailer for Infinity War where there's a lot of Thor in there and he has both eyes. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that was pretty clever. Like I didn't see that coming. So
most of us didn't.
No, and that was really cool. I like him with the eye patch. I think he looks cool.
Yeah, it's a cool look. It's kind of a like Odin thing.
Yeah, and now he's the king of Asgard. That's cool. I like that ending scene with him like on the ship on like the throne. Yeah. Again, it's ending off differently than where we started off, and I like that a lot. Yeah. Most Marvel movies don't really do that. And then you get to the post-credit scenes. There's two. There's the mid-credit scene where it's Loki and Thor on the ship talking. I actually really like that scene because just like, should I really be going back to Earth?
Yeah.
I'm like, that is true. I wasn't thinking about that. Like, he caused a freaking alien invasion.
He was the villain.
Yeah. So I kind of like that. I kind of like Loki's character. He's kind of a good guy. And they do also play at that because like Thor 2 did the same thing where it's like, oh, he has to have Loki's help. But no, Loki double crosses him, of course, because he's Loki. And they play into that a lot. They kind of joke about that a lot in this movie.
Yeah, and make reference to it in the fact that like, okay, Thor's not falling for it.
Yeah.
Again. And he's like, hey, look, I know you can be a better person. And you can be more than just the god of trickery or whatever the fuck he is.
And by the end, he's kind of actually a good guy. You think he is. You know, there's probably something up his sleeve because he did when he was like gathering, when he was getting the like horns from like the trophy room. He did see the Tesseract there.
Yeah, and he was like, oh.
And you could, I'm pretty sure he took that. I mean, okay, I do know because in the leaked Infinity War show you see him holding it, but you could just tell by that scene either way that he took it.
Yes.
So you know there's still something up with him.
Something up, but
especially with how the scene ends with this giant ship just appearing in front of them, which is probably Thanos.
Yes.
And if you remember in the first Avengers movie, you know, it was his job to deliver the Tesseract to Thanos. Yes. So it's like, he's probably not as good as we think. No. But that was a fine scene. That was a good kind of build-up of what's to come in the next movie, basically. And then you get the post-credit scene, which is a funny scene with Jeff Goldblum. Like calling the Revolution a tie.
He's just like, we'll call it a draw. That's because he's completely like screwed.
Yeah.
And that was fun. I love all that stuff.
We need to see more of him.
Yeah.
I mean, in the movies, Benicio del Toro's character in Guardians, that's his brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That fits, actually.
So, They need to get together at some point in these movies.
Definitely.
That'd be amazing.
And get Howard the Duck in there.
Yeah, why not?
You know, fuck it. You know.
Howard the Duck could have been in this movie and would have been fine.
Oh, for sure. He would have fit right in.
He could have been an actual character. I would have been okay with that.
I wouldn't mind. I guess we also haven't really mentioned the character of Valkyrie.
Yeah.
She's fine.
Yeah. I know everybody keeps saying how great she is, but I thought she was good.
She wasn't bad. It
No.
was just like, I didn't even know people were saying she was that great, but she was there.
Oh yeah, she was fun. I think the best thing with her though is the flashback scene to Hela destroying all the Valkyries.
That stuff visually was super fucking cool. I thought that was great. Just all the stuff when she's got like the antlers and like all these Valkyries with their swords just coming at her and they're all getting fucking murdered. That was fun.
Yeah. And also another thing, like we mentioned, we hinted at in the non-spoiler section, but when Hela comes in and basically kills the Warriors 3, they're just standing there at like the gates and she just walks in, boom, and walks away.
Yeah.
It really feels like the studio kind of made them put those characters in the movie. And the screenwriter was just like, okay, she walks in, just kills him, okay, whatever, and moves on.
There's stuff like that. Also with like Idris Elba as
Heimdall, yeah.
I don't know his name, but to me it feels like, from what I've been told, he's not really that huge of a character in the first movie. Gets a little more to do in the second, and in this he's like action hero.
Yeah. And it really just feels like it's Marvel Studios kicking themselves for why they cast Idris Elba as Heimdall and not an actual big Marvel character.
Yeah, because he's great.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, what's he really going to do as this character?
Yeah, really. But it's fun seeing him, and he doesn't die, so that's good.
Yeah. And
there's the one female character from the other Thor movies. The character who should have been Thor's love interest in those movies because she had more chemistry with him than Natalie Portman. She's not in here at all, so... I heard there was some sort of scheduling issue, so the actress actually couldn't be in there.
Oh, wow.
So she's still alive. That's good for you Thor movie fans.
I have no idea who he's talking about.
But, like, I still find it... I mean, I don't really care about those characters, but I still find it crazy how they just, like, stab, you're dead, and walked away.
Yeah.
It was really surprising, actually.
But unique.
Yeah.
It's good that they didn't just feel like they couldn't kill anybody in a movie where, like, people need to die sometimes.
Yeah. So repercussions, which I like.
Yeah.
Doesn't always happen in Marvel movies, but this was a good one where it all worked out.
Yes.
Although the opening scene of the movie, which is like a really cool setup for a scene, but with Thor basically talking to that big monster and everything, but like when it started out, there was like a lot of humor in just like the first like couple seconds of that scene.
Yeah, and both of us were kind of concerned.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, don't delve into Guardians 2 territory.
Yeah, I was getting Guardians 2 flashbacks. I was like, no. But...
I was confident that, like, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of Taika Waititi. I'm like, I'm confident he'll pull it together. But then again, I'm a big fan of James Gunn, too.
Yeah.
So it's like, you never really know with that stuff. They took it a little too far with Guardians. But I think after that scene in the opening scene, there wasn't too much of that the rest of the movie. A little bit sprinkled here and there, some stuff where it was like, it's not really fun.
Yeah.
But most of it was good.
And also, this might just me being a little nitpicky. I mean, okay, the immigrant song's in the movie, and it's awesome.
Twice.
It's not bad having that in the movie multiple times, but it would have been like more badass if you just had it in that final scene.
Yeah, I agree. They have it at the beginning, and they have it in the climactic scene.
And it works so perfectly in the climax.
Yeah.
It's when Thor is using his lightning powers, and it's being like the most badass he's ever been in these movies.
And it really fits.
It's so great.
But like, it almost doesn't fit as well when we've already heard this earlier in the movie. Why are you bringing it back?
Yeah.
That's kind of like a minor gripe, I guess.
It's a minor gripe, because again, it's an awesome song, and hearing it either way, it's still awesome.
And it's like clearly very fit for a Thor movie. I'm surprised this is the first time they got around to using it in a Thor movie.
But I do like that we have a Thor movie where it's him flying away from a giant dragon chasing him at one point. Like,
that was cool.
The fact that happens in the Thor movie is just so cool.
It's a outlandish science fiction world. Have fun with it. Go with the bright, crazy colors and weird creatures and fun things.
Yeah.
You can go as crazy with that stuff as you want in this kind of movie, and it'll still be great.
And I understand like not doing that for like the first Thor, because that was still kind of like not the early days of comic book movies when they still weren't sure that people were so accepting of outlandish stuff.
Yeah.
So you had to have him go to Earth and be a fish out of water. Yeah. But I like that this movie just embraces it, because we're at the point now where with stuff like Guardians, people are totally okay with this weird ass shit happening, and it's wonderful.
And I'm really glad that stuff is okay now, because those are the kind of movies I think I enjoy the most, where they're willing to just get weird with it.
Oh, yeah.
And have fun.
I love the Willy Wonka scene in the movie.
Yes! That was like... Well, if they hadn't had the Willy Wonka song there, I would have been thinking, man, this is straight out of Willy Wonka. And it was clear that they're like, oh, they're totally doing that on purpose. But that was awesome.
That was great.
I loved that. I forgot about that. That was wonderful.
And he just started screaming, just cuts to him just sitting in front of everybody, just screaming for no reason.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just such a fun movie, man. I had a smile on my face this whole time.
Yeah. I'm really glad that they got a guy like Taika Waititi behind this sort of thing.
Yeah, and this is a movie that I could see people not liking because of the humor and everything. Because this movie is very comedic, and some people might not want that, and I totally understand. Because this movie basically is a comedy. There is so much comedy in it that can basically qualify as a comedy, and I can see people not liking that. And I'm not going to argue if you don't like this movie, even though I really did. Mm-hmm. But it might not be your thing, and that's understandable, but I didn't mind it.
But that's the kind of stuff I like in a movie like this, because I'm at a point where I really don't care that much about cinematic universes and the whole overarching Marvel story.
Yeah.
It's fine, I'll watch the movies, probably most of them. Some of them I don't really give a shit about, but when I go into a movie like this, I just want like its own contained story and to enjoy it. And when it's going for something unique, like being just an all-out comedy, that's fine, make me laugh.
Yeah. So out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm going to give the movie 7.5. Solid movie. Not perfect by any means. Like I said, I generally like Taika Waititi more when he's working with smaller stories. And I like it more when his stories have a little bit more heart to them. But this was a really, really solid Marvel movie, and I would recommend it.
I'm going to go 8.5 out of 10, because I just had a friggin' blast with this movie. Yeah, like I said, it does have its flaws, some kind of structure issues. First half's a little clunky. And then the rest of the movie's just really, fast, a little too fast at times. And some of the humor doesn't quite land. But overall, I just, again, had a smile on my face the entire time watching this movie and just enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, it was a fun ride for sure.
Oh, yeah.
He's up there. Loki, look who it is.
Yeah, that's about all we've got to say about Thor Ragnarok. Yes. So until next time, we will see you guys later.